All right, hello and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at Steve Mnuchin testifying in front of Congress and Sherrod Brown basically tearing into him. So these two have a past, right? When Mnuchin was trying to get confirmed, Sherrod Brown tore into him at those hearings as well. So it's not like there's any love lost between these two individuals. But, you know, Sherrod Brown, I think, is one of these people that gets overlooked a lot. I'm not an expert on his history, so I don't know how all his votes have gone along the way. But he generally tends to be a proponent of more progressive ideals. And he's been known to actually push, you know, he's told people in the Democratic Party that they should be pushing for a more progressive popular ideas. And when you hear him talk, he really seems like one of these genuine individuals who really believes what he's saying. I don't think a lot of times when he gets up and he's making speeches, I don't think he's just doing it to, you know, get a sound bite that gets in the news. I think he actually is genuine and means the things that he's saying. So I want to take a look at this interaction between Sherrod Brown and Steve Mnuchin. And just while you're watching this, ask yourself, you know, why is the entire Democratic Party not up in arms about sending people back to work when there are not safety precautions in place? In fact, the Republicans are trying to strip any liability from companies so that no matter what happens, you cannot sue if you get sick from worker-place conditions, right? We've talked about this in previous videos. Of course, you can't make sure that companies are liable for everything, but you want to make sure that they are following safety precautions, that they're not putting their workers in harm's way. So there has to be some level of liability, and you don't want to push people to go back to work before it's safe for them to go back to work. And I think Sherrod Brown does a good job right here putting the formula on the table and saying, this is what we're really talking about, right? In fact, a couple of times, Steve Mnuchin tries to get in there and just basically give his political speech and the talking points that you hear come out of Trump. And Sherrod Brown shuts him down and says, no, we're trying to get to the bottom of something here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that video. And then we'll talk about it.
Secretary Mnuchin, let me go somewhere else. Public health experts have told us it's not safe to reopen the economy until we have worker protections in place that will control the spread of COVID. Things like testing, contract tracing, protective equipment, efforts that the president has clearly failed to lead to help our country. Secretary Mnuchin, you said there's considerable risk of not reopening, that keeping some businesses closed could cause permanent economic damage. How many workers will die if we send people back to work without the protections they need, Mr. Secretary?
Mr. Senator, we don't intend to send anybody back to work without the protections. And I would say I was prepared to come there today. I thought it was safe to testify. Matter of fact, I already was at the Senate this morning wearing a mask. And I assure you, both myself and everybody on the task force, the vice president and others, are following the best medical advice. And I couldn't be more proud of the medical advice that we're getting and the way the economy is opening up in a safe way.
So how many workers should give their lives to increase our GDP by 0.5%? That you're pushing people back into the workplace. There's been no national program to provide worker safety. The president says reopen slaughterhouses, nothing about slowing the line down, nothing about getting protective equipment. Is how many workers should give their lives to increase the GDP or the Dow Jones by 1,000 points?
You know, workers should give their lives to do that, Mr. Senator, and I think your characterization is unfair. We have provided enormous amounts of equipment. We've worked with the governors. We've done a terrific job of getting...
Mr. Secretary, I'm not going to let you make a political speech about what a great job. We hear that from the president in his news conferences, when in fact this country, the president is still not led an effort to scale up testing. He's played state after state. State against state. He's played hospital against hospital to get protective equipment. Everybody in the country, your comments notwithstanding, knows that.
So there we heard it right there. So Sherrod Brown is coming with one of the most honest descriptions of what's happening right now. So notice that he had details. He was talking about specific things. When Mnuchin's talking, he's just talking in these broad terms. Hey, we gave out PPE. We've gotten people ready. No, the government gave out tons of protective gear, right? But it was going to hospitals. It was going to other places. We're talking about regular businesses opening up. And the reports are that those businesses do not have the protective gear that they need to put people in there safely. In fact, If everyone had enough protective gear, then why is it so important that we remove liabilities from the very companies that are trying to get people back to work? They want that liability removed because they know they're not really going to protect people, right? If you're protecting people accurately or effectively, then you don't have to worry about liability because you're already doing everything you can to take care of workers. So the very fact that they're seeking this removal of liability shows that Mnuchin is just out there with his talking points that Trump is out there talking with. He's just parroting Trump, saying, hey, we gave out lots of protective gear. Everyone's got to be fine. Let's get things moving. And Sherrod Brown is saying, no, I want a number, because that's the game that's being played. Right? That's what's actually happening, is that they are willing to sacrifice a certain number of people in order to keep the GDP up, in order to keep the economy going. And we all know how important the economy is going into an election, right? Trump's not going to do as well if the economy is hurting. So they want that economy up and running, even if it costs tens of thousands of lives, or worse, hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe, depending on how things are done. So good on you, Sherrod Brown, for calling this out. We need more Democrats up in arms saying, look, we are literally trading people's lives for the economy. Okay, that's where we've gone. We've seen this degradation of working people for decades now, and it's literally come down to your life. We are trading your life for the economy. That's what we are. We're another resource to be doled out and handed over in order for the money to come rolling in. That is unacceptable, and every Democrat who is not speaking up against this should be held accountable as well, right? Not just the conservatives, but if you're a Democrat just rolling along with things, you should be answering as well. So Sherrod Brown, good job. Keep bringing up this kind of stuff, and we'll keep listening. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can check out all the new videos as they become available, and we'll see you in the future.